And well, it's Marriage Mondays, and as you can see, I'm here, but my better half is not here. She is traveling. As a matter of fact, she's down in Mississippi right now, and today she was able to celebrate her mother's 88th birthday. And if they're tuning in, I want to say happy birthday to Carrie Lou down there in Mississippi, and thank her for raising such a great young woman of God, my bride, my wife, and my companion in life. And so she's a great job. I'm thankful for her for doing that. And I thought I'd start out just a couple of things here. My son might join me in a moment or two, but as I've working on some things here, I pulled up something that I thought was very important, and it was something about children, and I wanted to pull it up because there was something in it that we can even use in marriage. But it says important manners to teach your children, and it's an interesting thing today. Why I'm bringing up manners is we always think that we'll meet someone and then we will change them, and that's an interesting line. I remember we watched a movie called my big fat Greek wedding. I thought it was so humorous. I loved the wedding, especially when they made the cake and she put it was a bundt cake and the woman didn't know what to do. There's a hole in the cake. She put a flower in the middle of it. But anyways, in that movie, she kept saying, "Oh, you'll change him. You'll fix that. You'll change him. You'll change him." And the thing of it is that we don't. And why I'm saying this is why it's so important for parents to rear up children today, because we're not just raising sons and daughters, we're raising future husbands and future wives. And so one of the things that I see that is so alarming to me is the lack of manners today, and we're not instilling them. And then if you don't put them in your children, then if they're not acting right, then wrong becomes the right, and we'll have a society just acting wrong all the time. Please and thank you are probably the two of the easiest things that you'll ever be able to do and to say. And that's one of the things that with my wife, it's very important when we reared our children. It's one of the things that attracted me to my wife. Of course, being a Southern girl, she was very polite and she was very mannerly, and my mother reared me in the ways, and she always had that whatever her name was, Vanderbilt's book on manners, and so she reared me to use manners, and so I was attracted to someone that had manners. And so she was attracted to someone else. We were of like mind. And so one of the things here it says, how do you meet and greet people properly? Boy, people don't even do that anymore. You walk up and they don't even say hello. They don't say please. They don't say thank you. They don't even know how. They just look at you like you're a door handle. And so that's one of the things, if you're looking for someone in marriage, make sure that you find someone that operates in these traits of having manners. And that's one of the things that, how did they meet? How did they greet? I was so blessed when Roman brought his future wife to meet us. And I met her at a basketball game. Mom and I met her, and she walked right up. She extended her hand. She said, "Hi, I'm Stephanie. It's so very nice to meet you." And when she got done greeting us and just chatting for a moment and walked away, I said to Mom, "Now there's a young lady that's been reared right." And she knew how to meet. She knew how to greet. And we were so blessed that later on in life, years later, Roman married that wonderful young lady. Be gracious and host. Be a gracious host, and how to welcome guests. That's the other thing. Someone walks into your home, or you're having a party or something of that nature. I mean, how do they meet and greet? How are they in a social atmosphere? Today, both husbands and wives work, and so you don't want to be linked with someone that's not of like mind. And good mouth manners, yes and no. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I still say that. Someone said to me the other day, it says, "Would you stop calling me ma'am?" And I said, "No, I can't. That was put in me. I was told, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Yes, sir, no, sir." Of course, my dad being a Marine, it was yes, sir, no, sir. But he taught me the proper way to treat not only your mother, but to treat a lady. And one of the things I always say to my boys when I reared them up, I said, she was my wife before she was your mama, and you better treat her with manners. So a proper conduct when you're in a church or any other public places. And that's just the thing. We're to impact people. We're not trying to impress people. And that's the thing that you want to see, people that are trying to make an impact in this world and not trying to impress them. And anybody that's trying to draw attention to themselves really doesn't matter about anybody else in the crowd. They're attention seekers, attention getters. And so it's not that your gifts shall make room for you. What you're gifted in, let me tell you, cream will rise to the top. And so here's another one that I've got here. Writing thank you notes. Boy, I remember we had our children, if someone gave them the gift before they could have the gift, they had to write down a thank you note. That is a lost art. A thank you note. I know people text thank yous. I know people email thank yous. My wife and I, we write thank you notes. We probably write over 100 a month. And you might say, when do you find time to do that? No, you take time. You take time away from something else because it's the right thing to do, to thank someone because someone went out and they bought you something, they attended something, and they took time to bless you with something. And so those are just the thank you notes. That is just a real stickler to me. And my son's looking over there. Do we have people tuned in tonight, honey, that you can see?
Yes, we have Rhonda Horde.
Rhonda's on. Thank you, Rhonda, for tuning in.
Sophia Lopez.
Sophia, okay.
Sonny Coswalder.
Sonny, okay.
Deborah Hart.
Deborah, okay.
And Lacey Schmidt.
Lacey, I don't know Lacey very well. Okay, well, if you all have any questions tonight, I know you're probably looking for Cheryl. She'll be back next Monday with me, but let's go on to a couple other things. Properly responding to invitations and following through. Boy, you know, if you send out an invitation and need an RSVP, you're trying to get a head count for a wedding or something of that, at least they've already stamped it for you. Just check the box and drop it back in the mail because it's a benefit to them, especially if they're trying to get a head count for dinner and things of that nature. Why am I going all these things? Because if you were not reared that way, you can get books and you can learn about these things and you can understand about having manners and things of that nature. And let's see, table manners. Oh my goodness. Well, I won't even go into the story. My wife knows the story about me before I got married, and just horrible table manners are just something that bothers me so much. Remember, Mom used to say, don't put your elbows on the table. And, you know, I've tried to teach the boys, when a lady enters the room, you don't sit down until she sits down at the table and things of that nature. And let me tell you, if you ladies are out there and you're not married and you're looking for a husband, make sure you look for a gentleman. And that's one of the things that I would say to you, is make sure you're looking for a gentleman. And gentlemen, men, make sure you're looking for a lady, one that when she stands there next to the table, and then you seat her properly, and then she says thank you, and of course putting the napkin on your lap. My goodness, we don't even do that anymore. I don't even know if people even use napkins anymore in some of the places that I see, and or the waiter has to put it on there. I don't, and I know that's in fancy restaurants, but table manners. I mean, you can tell an awful lot. You know, we always used to say, if someone's car's not clean, their house probably not clean, neither are they clean. So, you know, these are just little telltale signs. Etiquette on the telephone. Oh, my goodness. I remember when we were children, we used to have to answer the phone to go to the Salem residence. I mean, now you barely get a grunt on the end of the phone. Well, you don't even get phone calls anymore. You get the text and things of that nature. But just etiquette. And showing and deferring to elders and authority figures. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I mean, we don't even respect the elders now. Now that my wife and I are in that 60 range, it's nice when someone calls you Mr. or Mrs. or Doctor or Reverend because we've earned it. And you just don't walk up to someone who has a title like that and just blurt out their first name. So many times we go into churches and they don't even call the pastor anymore. And I know that's this new generation, but there is an office called a pastor, and that is an office that is highly regarded. God wouldn't have named those offices. And so to respect what people have done, doctors and things of that nature, and Mr. and Mrs., That is always a pet peeve with me. Mr. and Mrs. And so again, and then when you see, if you're looking for someone, see that they respect the elderly people, because let me tell you, one day we're all going to get there. And see that they have reverence for them, and see that they're loving and caring. Those are things that you can look for in a mate. Are they loving and are they caring to elderly? And are they loving and caring to children? Because if you aspire to have children, you want to take them out on a test run. And I remember I told Cheryl, I showed up for one of the times we went out. I showed up early just to see what she really looked like before she got the makeup and everything on. I learned that I'm not supposed to do that, but she was ready and she was raring to go, and she was always prepared. And that's the other thing. You don't wait till the last minute. That is just so disrespectful at the last minute. Call someone up and say this or that, the other. And then the other is opening doors for others. I remember, and these are just my little list of quotes and quips. I was going in the post office, I had some packages in my hand, and I was trying to open the door, and a fellow opened the door for me. I said, "Thank you." He said, "You're welcome." I said, "Well, God bless you." He said, "Well, God bless you," right back. And next thing you know, we're almost preaching to one another. And that was another man. And I mean, it's just like, just good manners and please and thank you. Just the little things, opening up a door, a car door for a woman. If Cheryl's watching, I still try and do that for her as much as we can. And I noticed we were with Pastor in Memphis the other day. He was opening the doors for Cheryl, and just so little things that you see. And boy, that was so nice to see that respect that he had. And so that's just a few things. If you have any questions, shoot them to me. Harry, we got anything over there while you're looking at the phone?
Cynthia has said, "Good evening. I agree manners are so important." And you have a lot of agreements with you actually right now. So everything you've been saying has been agreed.
Wonderful. Well, that's just a few things on marriage, and I thought about manners, and it's just something that, yes, they can be learned, but it's difficult to break bad habits. It's very difficult to break bad habits. So if you're looking for a mate, and that's one of the things that we have single folks that tune in, and I always say lonely's better than being miserable. Make sure you wait for your Prince Charming, your princess. I prayed for the Lord, you're going to have to send me an angel to deal with a devil like me, and boy, he sure sent me an angel. So that's one of the things that we like to joke about. But if you have any questions, make sure that you ask some of the questions. And then I put this little thing together. It's called, Cheryl and I were going to do it, but it's called Mastering Marriage. And I tied it to preschool and grade school and middle school. I thought it'd be kind of cute for tonight. High school, college. And so this is the first one, preschool, and your first meeting. Preschool, you're nervous, maybe you're scared. Your parents pick your teacher and they dress you and they prepare you for a half a day of school. And you go in and you start to interact with other children and you learn, and you might get a little cookie or a nap. Well, the first time that you meet someone, you're nervous and maybe you're scared. You're maybe scared to even make the phone call to the person's house, especially for us men, to women. Or you're nervous to approach him with his friends. But you meet, you're interacting while you learn. You learn how to talk to one another. And you might treat like you get to walk someone to class or something, or get a cup of coffee. And it's just a little thing that you put together for preschool and the first time that you are looking for your first meeting. Yes, son?
Yes, we have one question. How do you teach your children to have manners?
That's one of the things, even in this book, it had a thing, and I pulled it back here. It says, at the age of 3 to 4, saying hello and goodbye, saying please and thank you, and shaking hands at 3 and 4. Now, our grandchildren, they've done that. Probably Mia's done it at least by 3. She'll hold her hand out, glad to meet you, and she meets people properly. And this says between the ages of 3 and 4, just how to meet and greet someone. But if they're advanced, I'd say by 3 years old, our little grandson Romy, if Uncle or Harry said over here, we give him something, he says, "Thank you, Uncle," and then we teach him, and he's been taught, "You're welcome." And so just at the ages of 3, and I think that's a very important time to start them. Now it says by ages 4 to 6, saying excuse me. Well, Romy does that already, and he's 3. Using a fork and spoon properly, they do that. Asking for food to be passed, using a napkin, talking without a mouthful of food, and not making a scene in public, ages 4 to 6. Now, I say you start them right at 4, but this is when to teach manners. So now going 6 to 12, not interrupting others, saying excuse me when interrupting becomes necessary. And my granddaughter's 4, almost 5, and she does that now. Excuse me, and she does so well at that. Offering help when it's needed, showing respect for elders, refraining from making hurtful comments. Boy, she does that, and she's not even 5 yet. Responding when spoken to, and respecting property at home and away. They're taught to put their toys away at 3 and 4. These children do. So, these are the ages when it is applicable and they'll understand it. That's what I would say. But these are starting to say at 3, 4, and then 6, and how to answer a phone properly at the ages of 6, keeping the rooms clean, assigning chores, respecting the privacy of others, waiting for your own turn in line. They do this at 3 and 4. So I'd say at 3 and 4, when they're and don't make it a chore, make it a reward. Make sure that so many times, this is one of the things that I like to say about it, so many times we like to tell not only our children but our mates what they did wrong. When was the last time we told them they did something right? And I think that's a very key thing today. We're always, I think in society right now, we're looking for what's wrong under every rock instead of going out looking for what's right. And let me tell you, you're going to find what you're looking for. And so try and find the good things with your children. And it says that between about the ages of 6, being punctual, and even putting trash away, it says 6. Our grandchildren do that right now, and they're 3 and 4 years old. They go and put things in a little basket. So I say 3 and 4 is a good age to start teaching them those things there. Anything else, son?
Lacey Schmidt says, teach them young. Preteens sometimes feel so awkward, and just having good manners can increase their self-esteem because others will praise them.
Yes, she said preteens feel awkward at times, and when they're using good marriage, to make sure that you esteem them. And here's something else that I would say, teaching them this way. I'm 6 foot tall. My children say I'm 5'11" now, but when I was 6 foot tall and my children were small, if you talk down to someone, then you're a very imposing figure. I learned out one way to instruct my children was to get down on their level, which meant I got on my knees and I started to talk to them face to face. That also is when you're dealing with teenagers or preteens. I think that's so important that you talk on their level and you're not using phrases or words or things or expecting them to do things that's really not in their wheelhouse yet, but taking it from their viewpoint and their age and trying to talk it in their language so they understand it. It's a communication tool with them that you can use. I always like to go on private time with the boys. Harry will tell you we used to go on Saturday mornings just to the Home Depot or places like that. We had private time, and we have private time with all of our children, and now we get private time with our grandchildren. Private time is very important, not only to your children, but the private time is very important to your mate, because so many times I used to tease Cheryl. I said, you get up in the morning and you get dressed. I get dressed for work. You get dressed for what you were doing with the TV show and everything else. But on the weekends, we don't do our hair. She doesn't do her makeup, etc., etc. And you sit there and you go, but you get dressed up for everybody else, but you don't get dressed up for me. And that can be a point of contention. And so making sure that our appearance for our mate, especially men, on that day off, make sure you do shave on that day off and things of that nature. So, anything else you have over there, son?
Sonny Codwalder says, I tried my best to teach my kids manners. It helps give a good first impression. to all they meet, especially any potential future mates?
Well, you only get one first impression, and that's what she was saying. She tried to teach them manners, and so talking about first impressions, that first impression that when we met our now daughter-in-law, that first impression was over the top with her manners and the way she met us, we could tell she knew who she was when she entered the room, and those first impressions are very and very important. So having manners. Now it might not matter to some people, but let me tell you, if it doesn't matter to those people, I don't think those people are qualified to be in the room as a possible marital candidate for my children. So I am very astute about having that proper manners that go out today for our kids, especially in society when they're not taught. And they say manners, things can be caught, not taught. It can, because our children don't do what you expect; they do what you inspect. So you stay on top of that. Anything else, son? Anybody else tuning in?
We have Sarah Kokenauer and Sophia Lopez joining.
Hello, Sarah. How are you? Thank you for that prayer the other morning. We did make it home fine, and I certainly appreciate that. And you guys tuned in last Monday night. The second one is you're in grade school now. You understand why you have to get up so early on someone else's schedule and dress in certain ways. You get in line. You have to go to lunch and wait on other people. Well, when you begin dating, you begin to do the same things. You don't necessarily want to do the things that the girl's doing, maybe go to the mall or shopping, or going to the mall with her mother and shopping, but you do it anyways. And like Cheryl, when we first got together, she did not like sports or anything, but she learned and she adapted, and it became something that she enjoyed. And I don't think that that's first on her list, but she began to do it because she liked doing what I enjoyed. And then a couple of years ago, our children got us tickets to go see Andre Bocelli. And I don't think before I met Cheryl I would have ever enjoyed that, but I thoroughly enjoyed the evening. And what I enjoyed most was watching my wife enjoy it. And so I got a lot of pleasure out of watching her do things. And so when you're beginning to date, you're learning about the other person, and you're learning about that you're not the most important person in the room. In the scripture, in the Bible, the Message Bible, it says, put yourself aside long enough to let others get ahead, which means that is being considerate of someone else that is there. Middle school, you get to pick some of your own classes, your teachers, you're preparing for high school, and now you get to explore for yourself what all this education is all about, finding out what you really like to study, and most important, getting involved in outside activities with your friends. Finding a steady or a person that you're exclusively dating. You're no longer dating multiple people. You begin to hone in what you like and what you don't like as a person when you're dating. You get down to their looks, their personality, and where they live, and what they do for a living, and what they want to do for a long time. This is all that pre-dating. So someone has asked us, can you address it for some of us that are single? So the pre-dating ones is you're now finding out, are they going to want to live where I live? Are they going to want to live where my parents live, or close to my family or their family? We just had a couple that got married recently, and one was from Texas, one is from California. That's long distance. Cheryl and I got married. Her mom was in Mississippi, so that's she sacrificed and moved to where my job was. She was traveling. And so here's the next one is high school. You get to pick your own classes with your advisor, and your final goal is in sight, graduation. And you beginning to look at the long-term goals in life, changing the fact that you have to go to class and you're preparing and interacting for others of like goal in life. And we call those getting ready for college prep, which is in tune and close to getting engaged. And getting engaged, you get to pick the mate for your life. Oh, wow, now you're talking about future goals. And you should be going and seeing, once you're engaged, to a pre-marriage counselor. And with the final goal of having a wedding. You begin to discuss long-term goals that you have for life, like marriage and children and careers and your mate, what you want for long-term, preparing to interact with a person for a long life ahead of you. Cheryl and I, we talked about that prior to us getting married. It was very important to me, and then it was to her, that we both wanted children. We wanted the same goals in life, and we were in this thing with no plan B, and so that's why the engagement time. Now, I'm not going to tell you we were only engaged. We met and got married within just a few weeks, but we had talked so much about our time in life, and we just knew. We just knew by the time that we spent together that God had put us together. The next one is what I would call college. Is the final education level, which will define your ability to provide not only for yourself but your family, and what you should choose. And then marriage, the final frontier, they say in Star Trek, it will define you for the rest of your life. So college, if you're in college, and it prepares you for what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Marriage prepares you for the rest of your life, what you're going to do. You're going to be locked in. You're going to have the mate for your life. You could begin. And the next one is that you're going to be starting to get and have children. And so these are things that come while you're married. And then the master degree is what I like to say, or your doctorate, as my son has, sticking with something and perfecting it to its fullest. And that's called parenting. That's the next phase of life and marriage. And, we get to be parents. That's the wonderful things. We don't have to be parents. We get to be parents. And it's our responsibility, as I said earlier, that we're rearing the next generation of sons and daughters for being husbands and wives. And then the honorary degree is when you get to be, that honorary degree is when someone gives you a reward for what you've done your entire life, and you don't have a degree, but they bestow it upon you for the things you've done. And the honorary degree is being grandparents, and that is bestowed upon you by your children, and they bless you with grandchildren. And I love that scripture where it says, children's children or grandchildren are the crown of old men. And let me tell you, they are a crown. They are a jewel. And so those are just a few things that I put together for this. And people learn differently. Cheryl reads the book cover to cover. I read the headlines. And we accept that we see things differently, we learn things differently, but we do have one goal in mind, that we want a happy, healthy, joy-filled marriage. Anything else that you got, Harry? Any questions on those?
Angela Bartley, I love the idea of always being ready. I remember my kids being little asking me where I was going just because I'd get dressed up and put on makeup. It made me feel ready and overall better.
Always being ready. That's a great thing, and you don't want to have to be the last person in the car. You don't want to be your child doesn't want to be the last one in the car. We're like, get them in the car before mom and dad gets in the car. And that's teaching them to be prepared, and that teaches them. And one of the things that Harry's over here feeding me these things, but one of the things that when Harry got a job, he'd clock in. It would be like he's supposed to be there at noon. He's there at noon, or he's there maybe 1 minute after, 1 minute before. I said, listen, you need to be there like 10 minutes before. It shows that you're prepared and everything else. And then he began to work on that. Now, as he comes and he takes us to the airport and things of that nature, he's always early, and we never have to worry about that. But you start that little initiation, you start that wheel going, and all of a sudden it becomes second nature to them. So that's very important to me, to be on time, especially when Cheryl and I travel all the time, and we have to be at a service or a meeting at a certain time. If the people picking us up are late, it's a bad reflection on us that we might be late. And so we're always down, whether it's at the lobby or anywhere, we're down there 10 minutes early. We get so many comments like, you guys are early. You guys are early. So many people just are so late when you guys are early. No, that's being respectful. That's showing honor and respect for the people that have you coming in. So anything else, son?
Mom actually just came on.
Oh, no.
You are getting to finish all your thoughts because I'm not there to intersect you.
I never knew how many words that I had, but I'm actually running out of them, Mom. So I just want you to know that. Cheryl says I get to use all my words tonight. She just piped in, so.
She finished with your loving wife, LOL.
My loving wife, so. And she'll be back next week. So, do you have any other things? That's just some of the things for marriage. And what I did for tonight was the for singles tonight was primarily all on singles, And some of the silly things that we do, because you have a list of things that that you might want to accomplish in life. You have a list when I talk about going to school and things of that nature. I know people set goals. They want to be the valedictorian. They want to do this. They want to do that. And one of the crazy things is the lists change. And I had a list when in my mind for my wife. And we talked last week a little bit about I had the china and the silver and the towels, and I had all she had to do was move in her clothes. Little did I know that everything that I had picked out was leaning towards the guy side of things, and everything that she wanted was going to be leaning towards the girl side of things. And so you can prepare for things. You put the list. I had a list of things that I wanted in a mate. And like I said, when I met Cheryl, she exceeded all of them. I'm giving you a good compliment tonight there, Cheryl. So she did, and the Lord did send me my soulmate. So
She says, I'm here listening to my beloved doing an awesome job on manners.
I did the manners, and I did the marriage for the singles tonight. So if there's any singles, you got any questions whatsoever? And if not, we're going to wrap up. And let's see, what time is it? Let me see. All right, Cheryl, you hadn't tuned in. It said happy birthday to your mom. Just want to make sure that you knew that. So happy birthday to Carrie Lou. Happy 88th birthday. So,
6:33.
oh, thank you, son. He said it's 6:33. So we do have the two books. I Don't Kill Each Other, Let God Do It, and our other marriage book is I forgot the name of it now. It's right over there. See it? Can you hand me those, son? To Becoming One, and these are great books, good tools for you. And Don't Kill Each Other, Let God Do It. My wife's not here to show me these, but if you'd like to get those, we'd like to get it too. So thank you all for tuning in tonight on Marriage Mondays. My better half will be back here next week. I made sure that I stayed in my boundaries, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't take my liberties and say some things that I wanted to say. So with my bride not here, I wouldn't do that to her. I'm just kidding. So thank you all for tuning in on Marriage Mondays. Sarah, tell Caleb we said hello. Everyone else that's out there, bless you all, and we'll see you next Monday.
Oh.